Hey everybody, I'm back. I'm going to do a little short video here on the proper care and feeding of a Fender Stratocaster. I recently have a new friend that I just met, and he's new to playing Stratocaster. And today I was thinking about what difficulties he might have, getting used to a guitar like a Stratocaster with a floating bridge, as opposed to the guitar he was playing with a stationary bridge. So I kind of wanted to address that. I've been playing Stratocasters my whole life, except for a brief stint somewhere in the mid to late 70s. I bought a Les Paul Custom. I think that was called the Black Beauty model. It had gold hardware, and it was also called the Fretless Wonder, and it had these very low frets. And I found that while I really liked the guitar, and I was very, I thought I had arrived as a musician to buy a brand new Les Paul Custom. I bought it at Victor's House of Music down in New Jersey, Ridgewood, and I paid a whopping exorbitant price. When I told people how much I paid for it, they just couldn't believe it. It was $750 I paid for that guitar. So I had it for a couple of years, but the frets, I found those very low frets were difficult. While I liked playing it and I played the heck out of the guitar, I developed some tendinitis in my index finger here because I was pressing much harder to fret the notes. When you have these big high frets, I don't really have to press all the way down to the wood to get the tone. I just have to touch the string. But with something very low like that, I found myself pressing much harder because it's harder to get a clean tone. Anyway, that was like literally a month before I started going at Berklee College of Music in Boston. So I was pretty worried that I wasn't able to play bar chords, but you didn't need to. If you're playing, jazz, it was mostly, that kind of stuff. So that didn't hamper my playing. But to this day, I still have to nurse my index finger because I would not be able to play bar chords all night. I do the cheat or just play half chords, which are, just as well. They're just as good. You got a bass player in the band. You don't need all this low stuff going on down here. Anyway, let's get back to this. So here we have a Fender Stratocaster. This happens to be a custom shop Ancho Poblano 2 Stratocaster. Really, really great Strat. Love it. And let's talk a little bit about, if you're new to a Stratocaster, what things are going to be making your brain explode. Number one, I think probably one of the biggest things is the bridge floats. This bridge is anchored by these 6 screws here. And this bridge pivots up and down. And it's balanced in the back with, if I took this plate off, you'd see there's springs back there. So these strings are pulling the tension, which would make this thing go up, but the springs in back balance it so that it can float. And by floating, I mean this bridge can move both up and down. And if I had the what they call the whammy bar on it, you could lower the pitch as well. I usually never play with the whammy bar on there. Whenever I'm using vibrato, I have it set a little bit higher than normal so I can just use the back of my hand and, get away with stuff, where I'm playing a nice chord, like if I need to. So that's really as far as I use it. As far as the tuning pegs, these are just standard tuning pegs on here. I love the slotted tuning pegs here. You just pop the string in there, wind it around 2 times, and boom, you're done. When you want to take them off, you loosen the strings, and they pop right up. You can do work on the guitar, leave your strings on here, just loosen them up, put a, like a ponytail thing around here or rubber band to hold this, loosen the strings, pop them off, do what you need to do to adjust the neck, and then put them right back on. You can't do that with other kind of tuning pegs. And no, I don't have locking tuning pegs on here either. I've never had a need for locking tuning pegs. This guitar never goes out of tune. I mean, no more than a regular guitar. And like I said, I don't use the whammy, the vibrato more than that. Basically that kind of thing. So anyway, you have this bridge that floats. Here's one of the problems. When you go to tune this guitar, if you're tuning this, let's say you're tuning the 6th string and you're raising the pitch, it's going to lower the pitch of every other string on here. So you have to get used to tuning the guitar by going always through the series and then back through the series. So if I go through this, let me grab a tuner. I think I got one laying around here somewhere. Yeah. So let me get a tuner. Let me put it so you guys can see it. I think you should be able to see that. Let's see. Okay, so there's E. Okay, and in this case, I guess it's a little flat. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so that looks like it's in pitch. Now, what it may have done is brought the other strings down a little bit flat. There you go. So now I go back to the low E string, and it's a little flat. So that's going to come up. It's hard to see on here. Let's see. Yep. That's a little flat. And back to the low E. I usually find 3 times through does the trick. And if any one of these strings is way out, you may have to go through the whole series again. There you go. I'm in tune for the whole night. This guitar will not drift out of tune as long as you don't go crazy on the vibrato. So that's one of the things you have to remember with a Stratocaster. The second thing is if you're doing double stops, like you know, one of these country things where you got your pinky on the 12th fret of the B string, and then you've got your ring finger on the 11th fret, and you're going to bend it, that kind of thing. Well, on a regular guitar, you can just leave your pinky where it is. But look what happened there. This note goes flat. You hear that? So when you're doing these double stops, you are going to have to bend the note that's supposedly staying put up a little bit too. So that's a little bit of a different thing. So double bends. The note that's stationary has to get just a little smidge up. You'll hear it with your ear. You know, if you don't do it, there it is. So after a while, it's not anything you really got to think about. I think for me, it just kind of happens. You figure it out after a while. Some people don't like the floating bridge, and what they do is, I'll get a picture of the springs on the back, and I'll put it in here so you'll see what I'm talking about. They tighten those springs all the way, which pulls this bridge down against the body, and it will not move when you bend the strings. And now you've got basically a bridge like a Telecaster or some kind of Gibson, you know, where it's not moving. And that's fine and good. Some people just don't want to mess with this at all. I just happen to love this sound. So for me, that's what gives you the heart and soul of a Telecaster. And normally I think the specs is that This should be floating about a half an inch. Let me get this so you can see it better. That should be about a half an inch of play. Not a half an inch, what am I saying? An eighth of an inch of play in there. This one's a little lower than I normally like it. I like it a little higher so I can get the palm of my hand in there and give it a little goose when I need to. Also, when I'm changing my strings, if you don't block this thing when you're changing your strings, it's going to be a nightmare, because now you got to tune them up and also compensate to counteract the springs. So what I do is I take a couple pieces of cardboard and I fold them and I slide them under here so they slide in snug, but not so much that they really push up on the bridge and lower the pitch too much. You know, you'll find like the cardboard from like the guitar string box case, that the guitar envelope that they came in. Fold it over once, slip it in there. It's real loose. Give it another fold. All right, yeah, it fits in there snug. Leave it there, loosen all your strings, take them off, put the new strings on, bring them up to pitch, and then pull this thing out. If you're lucky, everything should be fine. If you're usually the thing that happens is that you're going to have to bring the strings up a tiny bit or down a little bit. If you change gauges of string, let's say you go from 9s to 10s, you're going to find that the extra tension of the 10s may pull this thing up really high. You're going to have to go in the back, you're going to have to tighten the strings and loosen your strings a bit, and keep bringing it down until you find where this is and your strings are in tune. So, you know, I mean, there's probably a million videos on YouTube that kind of explain it. This is just from, you know, years of me playing and doing my own adjustments on the guitar, little tricks of the trade that I found that work out real good. The action is a little different, I would say, a little springier than a guitar that doesn't have a floating bridge. I'm going through amplitude. I'm just going through the computer. I'm not a big fan of digital tone. The next thing you got to think about is single coil pickups. So you got your 3 pickup selector switch. You guys know what it does. These middle positions are the ones that wire the 2 adjacent pickups out of phase, and it cancels hum. There's your middle pickup. There's these 2 wired out of phase. Now, not all Strats do that. Most modern Strats do it because that's what most people like these days. A real fact of playing a Stratocaster is hum. I love this middle position, but it's prone to buzzing. So when you're playing a Strat, a lot of times you get used to finding the spot where it's quiet. So, you know, when you're playing the song, you know, who cares? But when you're talking to the crowd, you may want to turn your guitar a little bit. Some clubs are worse than others, but it's just a reality of single coil pickups. Even, you know, like Gibson guitars, P90s and stuff like that, they're going to have the same problem. You want to silence it, you just put it there. But remember, that's a little bit of a different sound. I'm going to pause the video for a minute, and I'm going to plug into my Dr. Z Maz 8 over here and not use this silly virtual stuff on here. So hang in there, I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm plugged into the Maz 8. You can kind of see it right about there. And so here's the bridge pickup. Here's the middle by itself. That's kind of my go-to rhythm one, and then you got the neck. A little bit darker, but nice, you know, it's nice for like more mellow leads and stuff. But, you know, So there's your sounds, you know, through the amp. There's just nothing like a Strat. It's just a great sound. I'm not a big heavy distortion guy, so for me it's just kind of a little bit of a crunch. And truthfully, I just like to ride my volume and bring it back a little bit when I want to clean it up. You know. So the proper care and feeding of a Stratocaster, there's nothing like it. This is, you know, these have been my go-to axes forever. I've been getting into a Telecaster a little bit. I like the Telecaster. It's an interesting guitar, but when I need to feel 100% comfortable, it's got to be the Strat. So anyway, hopefully that helps you out a little bit. Get yourself a Stratocaster, figure out how it all works and everything, and you'll never look back. Anyway, take it easy, guys.